Hello and welcome to another tech review from myself, Christina, here on KitGuru. Today we are letting our ears do most of the work with the Virtuoso RGB wireless XT headset coming in at $249.99, and with a price like this, will it hit all the right notes or be a little off key? Before we go there though, make sure you hit that sub and like button down below. So you may be thinking you've heard the words Corsair and Virtuoso together in the past, and you would be right. Andy did a review of the Corsair Virtuoso RGB wireless SE headset back in 2019, and you can check that out right here on KitGuru. Now, the unboxing for this one was very nice, just as it was for the SE back in 2019. It all opens nice and easily, and inside we have the headset itself. Underneath, a lovely velour plush protective case, which is really well made and feels very luxurious. Then underneath that, we pull a tab to take out the underneath box, and in there you have your USB to USB-C cable, 3.5mm to 3.5mm jack cable, your wireless receiver, and finally your detachable microphone. The 3.5mm cable is soft, but it seems to hold shapes quite well, which is not great. The USB cable though is quite a bit thicker and it's much stiffer too. This cable is much easier to get the kinks out of, but also creates them just as easy too. Looks wise, this headset is also very reminiscent of its predecessor. We have brushed aluminium on the cups with that light up Corsair logo that pops through, which I think is really nice. There's lots of metal in this construction too, which I really like, which usually means it's a little bit more sturdy. The adjustable runners are numbered, which is a great feature as you can find your way back easily to your favourite setting. The cups themselves are memory foam, but the pads themselves don't really feel awfully thick. Although they are nice and soft, and they also have quite a good amount of memory and spring back quite well. This also goes for the head strap, but I would say that the head strap feels like there is slightly more padding than that in the cups, because you really have to push harder before you can feel that underneath framing, whereas with the cups it really doesn't take a lot to feel the underneath framing. Button wise, on the right cup we have that volume wheel, which has no increments and is very smooth with a great resistance, so you're not accidentally going to deafen yourself. There is also a really nice grip to the wheel, which goes with that whole luxurious high-end feel I believe Corsair are going for with this headset. This controls the system volume too on your connected wireless device. Then we have the USB or off and wireless switch, pretty self-explanatory. Then you have the three buttons. The middle button here is the Bluetooth button. You can use this to pair your Bluetooth device. Press and hold it and it will blink twice red until the connection is made to your device, and then it will blink blue. You can also use this button to control your player on your Bluetooth device by tapping once to play, pause, twice to skip a track, and 3 times to go back, for instance. Also, the plus and minus button control the volume on that connected Bluetooth device. Now, you might be thinking, but there is a volume wheel above, so why don't they just use that? Well, this is where it gets quite clever, because you can connect a Bluetooth device and a wireless device at the same time, and you can hear and control them independently using the 2 volume controls. This is great if you're editing or you don't have 2 monitors, so you're using your phone and your PC, for example. You can also use the Bluetooth multifunction button to answer and end calls if you're connected to your phone. On the left-hand side, you have all the connection ports for the mic, USB cable, and 3.5mm connection. When using that 3.5mm connection, you do have a controller box on the actual cable itself, and there is a mute mic button, of which there is also on the detachable microphone. The mute button on the control box of the 3.5mm, however, is just for the 3.5mm connection, whereas the mute button on the mic mutes it for Bluetooth and wireless connected devices. You can see whether the mic is on or off on the wireless device by the LED ring indicator on the tip of the mic, or for the wired devices you can see it's muted by the colour of the slider on the controller. In wireless modes, you also get a voice announce if the mic is on or off when you put the headset on to remind you, which I think is a really handy feature. Here is the sound test for the microphone. This is the mic test for the Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT by Corsair. This is me speaking quite normally. This is me speaking quite loudly. This is me speaking quite quietly, and this is the background noise. There's currently very little on, so I've only just got the PC on and stuff like that, so nothing really very loud. Now for some P's and B's. P, p, b, 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 p, p, b, b, and some S's. S, 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 s. So there we have it. This is the conclusion to the sound test for the Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT. There is quite a lot of plosive sounds, and also there is a small amount of distortion. I did this test with the software installed and up to date on all firmware and updates. Moving on to how the headset feels. To wear, well, I found the headband was comfortable even after wearing it all day, but I did find my ears were pretty much up against the inside of the plastic of the cup, which I didn't really notice initially, but after long wear I did find the tops of my ears were a little bit tender. In terms of the clamp force, they were pretty much spot on. I didn't even have a headache or anything like that, so that's fantastic. You can also pull this headset around pretty harshly. There is no cracking or creaking, and it's really pliable. The one thing I did find is the ear cup cushions are a little warm over time, and I did find at some points it was a little itchy because of the warmth that was there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was wearing them all day pretty much, and it only really bothered me nearer the end of the day's use. Now let's talk about how they sound. Sound isolation is okay. I wouldn't say fantastic. The cups keep the sound in, but they don't really help with keeping the sound out from the outside. This may be due to the shape or clamp force, but I could still hear quite a lot that was going on the outside. The bonus of this though was the fact that when taking the headset off, it didn't feel like I had just emerged out of a padded cell, which I find happens with some headsets if they're very isolating. In terms of what they actually sounded like, well, when I put on some dance music on Spotify, for example, I found that they start off with the mids and highs being quite prominent ranges, and they really punch through. There is an equalizer in the software itself, which I'll go through with you properly later, but for instance, if we select bass boost, then I found that the lower frequencies kind of overwhelmed the rest of the frequencies, and the other types of presets that you can get on there made it a little bit tinny. So I made my own preset and I was satisfied. The bass was rich, the highs were defined, and the mids were balanced. I compared the XT to the non-SE version of its predecessor without the Dolby on the XTs, and the flat profile named Pure Direct on both, and there was a significant difference between them. The predecessor had a bassier profile even on this Pure Direct supposedly flat profile, so I would say that the new XTs won there as they were more true to the setting that they were trying to convey. I tried comparing them again with the custom profile on the predecessor and the Dolby settings on Warm on Music preset on the XTs, and there was hardly any difference at all. Both had a very good range, all frequencies were really clear, but I would say that the XTs are slightly less focused on bass. This, however, isn't noticeable unless they are compared directly to each other one after the other. The volume also goes really high on these, and I didn't want it really at full volume. About 90% was about my limit, but it didn't distort on any level, which is fabulous. I didn't find any loss of quality or change in sound in the wireless or Bluetooth, but there was a difference when using the 3.5mm jack, as you are no longer using the headset's DAC, but you're reliant on your onboard audio. I found that the bass wasn't as powerful, and also the volume was a little less, but I think this is to be expected. Bluetooth wise, the Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT utilises Qualcomm's aptX HD codec and delivers 24-bit HD audio wirelessly over Bluetooth, and it improves the signal to noise ratio, reducing background noise, apparently. Also, because of this, it's compatible for use with things such as Tidal and Qobuz. The USB connection will offer the highest reproduction with up to 24-bit 96 kHz audio, and to be fair, it did sound great, but with all the equalizers and stuff like that, you can really achieve a comparable sound via Bluetooth or wireless. I think personally you can get it sounding great either way. Before we move on to talking about my gaming experience, I did want to say about the Dolby Atmos compatibility that I briefly mentioned earlier. Dolby Atmos uses three-dimensional game audio, which is supposed to help with orientation. So if you go to the Microsoft Store on your Windows 10 PC, you can download the free Dolby Access app. This gives you far more options for customizations and presets, as you can create your own profiles, but also the presets themselves are much better than those in the iCue software, especially for music. To be fair, this also went for gaming, and the iCue is brilliant if you don't mind fiddling around to get exactly what you want to hear, but the Dolby settings are much better in terms of directional detail, and I found that they just get the overall balance right. So I would say this is a bonus for sure. As I mentioned above, there isn't really that much difference between the non-SE predecessors and these new XTs in terms of sound on the iCue presets, but I did find that with the Dolby there was a very slight increase in spatial awareness in game, but very fractionally. If you were a competitive gamer, you may notice this difference a little bit more than, say, myself, which is an average gamer. In terms of frequency range, Corsair uses Intelligent Frequency Shift, or IFS, which Corsair says ensures the wireless signal stays in the fastest lane with the ability to detect and hop to the best available channel on the fly, and a 60-foot range. However, we have quite an old house with thick stone walls, and I walked from the studio to the room at the back of the house, which is around 10 to 15 meters away roughly, and the Bluetooth kept going strong, but that wireless started to cut out. Corsair says that the wireless range of 60 foot is line of sight, as thick walls, metal beams and stuff like that can interfere with the signal, so just worth noting there. Now onto the software. Make sure you've done all your updates and everything like that first, but once you have, you will get the headset and dongle appear separately. I'll take you through both. When you click on the dongle, you will see that there are two tabs on the left hand side. One is connections, and here you can see that the headset is paired. Also, you can see that the Virtuoso XT is compatible with the PS4 and 5, and as you can see from the notification, you cannot connect to multiple devices using multi-point when this compatibility mode is enabled. However, this is only if you have multiple wireless Corsair items to connect, rather than you having multiple dongles. So this is not an issue anyway if you are gaming on your PS4 or PS5. Just make sure to enable the PlayStation mode before jumping onto your console if you use the headset on your PC with multiple devices connected. Underneath is where you will find your updates, and next, clicking on the headset, you can see that there are 3 tabs appearing on the left hand side. This time we are starting with the lighting effects. You can change the lighting presets, make custom ones, or play around with the lighting link. But to be honest, there is only one logo on each ear cup, so not much to really see in the way of customization anyway. I'd say choosing the color is a nice touch if you're using this as a competition headset to display your team's colors, for example, but other than that, a preset would do just fine. Next, we have the equalizer here with a volume and side tone slider on the left bottom. This is great because I hate not being able to hear myself with a headset on, and side tone enables you to hear yourself. Then we have the EQ presets, as mentioned briefly earlier. These are pretty top end heavy, except for that bass boost, which kind of muddies up the other frequencies. But on the right there is an equalizer, and you can make your own EQ, which I preferred, to be honest. Moving on to the battery life. It's expected to last around 15 hours as claimed by Corsair, so to test this I charged the headset to 100% and left it playing music from 9:30 AM in the morning, and it was still working, albeit at critical battery level, until 11 PM at night. So this is pretty much exactly what Corsair claimed, which is really nice to see. Charging it from critical to full battery took around 5 hours on a USB 3.0 port on my PC, so not overly fast charge here. Before we get to the main conclusion, I just wanted to do a really quick roundup of the main improvements Corsair say they have made to the Virtuoso RGB XT headset in comparison to its predecessor, the Virtuoso RGB Wireless. They have tweaked the clamping force to improve comfort, and I would say that the clamp force, as mentioned earlier, is really good, and to be honest, it's very comfortable after long periods of use too. They also have added more headband padding, and this is no doubt an attribute to that long wear comfort. They also said that they added more ear cup padding, but to be honest, I couldn't really tell the difference here, and it really doesn't seem to be that thick to me anyway. But when they are on, they're really comfy. They have also added a Bluetooth as a connective feature, as well as the 3.5mm cable now has and inline volume and mute controls. Finally, of course, the Dolby Atmos compatibility. So for £249, is the Corsair Virtuoso RGB wireless XT gaming headset really worth it? You can currently, at the time of this recording, buy the Corsair Virtuoso RGB wireless SE for £179.99, which have almost all the same specs as mentioned, or if you aren't too fussed about the best mic and don't mind some gloss panels, but still keeping all that same level of spec, then you can save even more by going for the Corsair Virtuoso RGB wireless. Okay, but moving away from Corsair itself though, you could purchase the Asus ROG Strix Go 2.4 GHz wireless headset, which granted you do need to use a dongle at all times for, but I use this as my daily driver and it's a phenomenal piece of kit for a mere £169.99. That's currently on overclockers at the moment. I would say in conclusion that the Virtuoso RGB Wireless XT gaming headset is a great headset, but for £249 there really isn't enough, in my opinion, improvement-wise on the predecessor versions for me to spend that extra cash on. Well, let us know down in the comments what you think. Will you be grabbing the Virtuoso RGB XT wireless headset or something else? Don't forget to check out our website daily for tech news and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to support us for free. If you have a bit of spare change though, check out our merch. I'm Christina, this is KitGuru, see you next time.